Welcome to Roots and Rest. This evening's story is called The Storm That Stayed Until Morning. So settle in, get comfortable, and let your body begin to soften. The storm arrived slowly, as though the forest had invited it. Long before the first rain fell, the air had changed. The pine needles along the path stood still. Ferns lowered under the weight of waiting. Even the birds seemed to soften their songs into quieter things. Small sounds tucked beneath the grey afternoon. Alder noticed it while gathering kindling near the edge of the woodland. The sky above the hills had become the colour of river stones, deep and silvered, and somewhere beyond the trees thunder moved like a cart crossing distant earth. Not sharp or frightening, only low and rolling, as though the clouds were speaking to one another across the valley. Alder tied the kindling with twine and began the walk home. The cottage sat far within the woods where the path narrowed into moss and roots. Few people came there. The forest had a way of folding around the place until it felt hidden from the rest of the world. Along the journey back, the wind gathered itself. Not cold at first, only restless. Branches shifted overhead in slow sighs. Leaves turned pale undersides towards the sky. Wild grasses bent together in rippling waves beside the trail. Alder walked steadily through it all, boots darkened with damp soil, coat brushing against foxgloves, heavy with rain yet to come. The thunder sounded again. Closer now. A hollow rolling sound that moved through the chest more than the ears. Alder paused beside the stream that crossed the lower woodland. Usually it spoke in bright, quick sounds over the stones, but today even the water seemed quieter, as though listening. First raindrop landed against the back of Alder's hand. Another followed, then another. Large drops, scattered and slow. The kind that arrive before a storm truly begins. By the time the cottage came into view through the trees, the rain had thickened into silver threads falling between the branches. Alder stepped inside just as the storm opened fully overhead. Rain struck the roof in steady waves. The windows blurred almost immediately. The cottage grew dim in the afternoon light, wrapped in the soft blue-grey hush that only storms can bring. Alder set the bundle of kindling beside the hearth and lit the fire carefully, coaxing warmth into the room while thunder moved across the hills outside. Soon the cottage settled into its own rhythm. Rain against the roof, firewood shifting softly in half. The occasional creak of old beams as wind passed through the trees. Alder filled the kettle and placed it over the fire. Steam began to rise slowly, carrying the scent of pine smoke and dried herbs hanging from the rafters. Outside, the storm deepened. Rain poured from the gutters in silver ribbons. Branches swayed heavily beyond the windows. The forest, usually so full of detail, became softened by water and mist until only shapes remained. Alder sat beside the window with warm hands wrapped around a mug and watched the woodland disappear into rain. There was something comforting about not needing to go anywhere. The storm had made the world smaller. Only this room mattered now. Only the firelight. Only the rain. Another low rumble crossed the sky, longer this time, and Alda leaned back into the chair beneath the window. The sound reminded them of nights long ago when storms passed over the cottage while they lay awake beneath heavy blankets, listening to rainwater slip from the eaves. Back then, the thunder had seemed enormous, something wild and untouchable moving above the forest. Now it felt different. Not smaller, just familiar, like an old song returning. The hours drifted quietly. Rainwater gathered along the garden path outside. Moss darkened against stone walls. Tiny rivers formed in the grooves between roots beyond the cottage window. Inside, warmth continued to build. Alda moved slowly through the evening, adding wood to the fire, straightening folded blankets, lighting a small lantern near the shelves lined with jars of tea and dried flowers. Nothing hurried. The storm itself seemed unhurried too. Not violent, not angry, only full, as though the sky had carried too much for too long and finally needed to set it upon the earth. At dusk, the thunder moved directly overhead. For a while, the rain became heavier than before, loud enough to fill every corner of the cottage. Wind pressed softly against the windows. The trees outside bent and swayed together like dark waves upon water. Alda stood beneath the covered doorway and watched it. Lightning flickered somewhere deeper within the hills, illuminating the forest for brief moments at a time. Silver branches, white rain, dark trunks shining wet beneath the storm. Then darkness again. The air smelled alive. Wet leaves, soil, rain-soaked pine, the kind of scent that only belongs to storms in deep woodland. Beyond the rain there were other sounds too. The distant stream running faster now, water dripping steadily from branches, wind moving through cedar and fir in long, whispering breaths. The forest had not become quieter in the storm, only different. After some time, Alda returned inside and closed the door against the cold. The fire had burned low. Orange embers glowed beneath ash like hidden lanterns. Alda added another log and watched flames slowly gather themselves once more. The cottage brightened. Shadows climbed warmly along the walls. Outside, evening settled fully over the woodland. The storm continued into night. Rain tapped steadily against the windows while Alda curled beneath a wool blanket beside the hearth. A book rested unopened nearby, though there was little desire to read. The storm itself felt enough somehow. Enough sound. Enough story. Hours passed gently. At times the thunder faded so far into the distance it almost disappeared. Then it would return again, rolling softly across the hills beyond the forest. Alda listened without counting time. There was no need to. The storm seemed to loosen something invisible within the room, something carried quietly for too many days. Thoughts that usually rushed now moved slower. Worries softened around the edges like stones beneath running water. Outside, rain continued falling over the sleeping woodland, over foxgloves and ferns, over hidden animal paths, over streams and roots and quiet moss-covered stones. The entire forest drinking deeply in the dark. Near midnight, the storm finally began to tire. The rain softened first, then the spaces between thunder grew longer and longer until silence slowly gathered once more beneath the trees. Alda noticed the change gradually. The roof no longer roared with rain, only dripping now. Only gentle water slipping from branch to branch outside the windows. The fire had settled into a low golden glow. Warmth lingered through the cottage like held breath. Alda rose and opened the door once more. Cool air drifted inward. The forest beyond stood silver beneath the lingering clouds. Mist curled between the trunks. Raindrops clung to every branch, catching what little moonlight escaped through the thinning storm. Somewhere nearby, an owl called softly into the night. The world smelled washed clean, as though the storm had carried something away with it. Alda stepped into the damp stone path outside the cottage and looked up. Above the trees, the clouds were beginning to part. Not fully, just enough for a few pale stars to appear between them. The woodland glistened quietly beneath the fading storm, every leaf shining, every small thing restored by water and light. Alda stood there for a long while, listening to the final drops fall from the branches. No wind now, no thunder, only the deep stillness that comes afterwards, the kind that settles slowly into the earth. The kind that reminds the forest to rest. Eventually Alda returned inside, closing the door gently behind her. The cottage glowed softly in the quiet. The fire whispered low within the hearth. And beyond the windows, beneath the last drifting clouds of the storm, the woodland slept peacefully until morning.